A cool start to the morning and what ends up being yet another pretty winter day. Probably less wind, so less pollen to blow around. All in all, a pretty tranquil week of weather. Chief meteorologist Mike Burris says we're up into the low 70s by Saturday, but all in all, relatively quiet for this week. We have continuing team coverage of the firefight some 30 plus hours later in the sports district just downtown next to ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, the Rise Doro luxury apartments, which were nearly completed with construction. What we know so far about the potential cause surrounding businesses like Manifest Distilling and Intuition Ale Works that ultimately are closed for now due to the potential of a collapse of the building. And if it doesn't collapse under the weight of all the heat and the water and whatnot, the next question becomes when it will ultimately be demolished and how that may impact operations around ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, 121 Financial Ballpark, and more. Obviously, a lot of angles that we're covering to this story and some of the history on the old building that ultimately was demolished a couple of years ago, the Doro building that had lived there since the early 1900s. We have the story covered on multiple angles at 104.5 WOKV on your radio and WOKV.com throughout the morning. County Road 210, North St. Johns County, always known as a bottleneck just east of I-95. It's going to be a bottleneck for a while. Big construction project, about $15 million of a widening will be getting underway starting today. So we go from 2 lanes to ultimately a wider path from east of I-95 all the way to the Beach Walk area, as you'll be able to enjoy that long term and hopefully have traffic congestion ease, but it's going to mean some delays in the short term as the construction project gets underway. Jax Beach and Information Services continues to look into what may have caused its systems to go down Monday as they are continuing to investigate the issue. City Hall is open. However, there are a number of issues like email and other online IT support issues that will, for the time being, be disrupted or at least significantly delayed while an investigation continues. Too early to say whether or not this may have been some sort of nefarious activity. We're continuing to press city leaders in Jax Beach for new information. We've learned that all 3 of those soldiers who died in that drone attack in Jordan were from Georgia. We're hearing from one of the mothers of a young citizen soldier, young mother who lived in the Waycross area. We're continuing to follow the response from Washington as President Biden is vowing a response of some kind against the Iranian-backed rebels who were a part of that. These and other stories updated throughout Jacksonville's morning news. We're live and local until 10 o'clock. Breaking news, weather, and traffic alerts when you download the free WOKV app.